A stunning cave in Alabama where sunlight shines deep into a 143-foot pit. But this beautiful place has a dark side, a hidden danger that has already claimed lives. One day, a group of expert cavers entered this cave just like they had done many times before. One experienced caver rappelled down into the cave just like many others before. But this descent would be her last. One wrong move, one missed safety check, and in seconds, everything went horribly wrong. What really happened that day? The answer will change how you see adventure forever. Now, while we won't show the worst moments, this true story contains disturbing details about just how quickly adventure can turn into tragedy. Viewer discretion is strongly advised because what you're about to learn could one day save a life. Stevens Gap Pit. Welcome to Stevens Gap Pit, one of the most breathtaking caves in the Southeast. Nestled in the heart of Jackson County, Alabama, this incredible natural wonder is famous for its massive 143-foot deep pit and the stunning light beams that shine down into the darkness. Whether you're a caver, hiker, or photographer, Stevens Gap offers an unforgettable adventure. Stevens Gap has something for everyone. If you're an experienced caver with vertical climbing skills, you can rappel down into the pit and explore the depths below. But even if you're not a technical caver, you can still enjoy the cave's beauty. A short, easy hike leads to a walk-in entrance where you can see the famous pit from above, one of the most photographed cave scenes in North America. Now, you might have seen these amazing photos of sunlight streaming into a deep cave. Chances are those photos, that's Stevens Gap. On a sunny day, the light pours through the entrance, creating magical rays that illuminate the pit. This is why photographers and adventurers from all over the country come here. Just remember, the best time to visit is on a clear day. Rainy weather makes the trail slippery, and it also hides those beautiful light beams. Stevens Gap is located near the small town of Woodville, about 30 miles east of Huntsville, Alabama. You can find the trailhead by searching Stevens Gap Callahan Cave Preserve on Google Maps. The hike is short, just 1.4 miles round trip, but it can be steep and muddy, especially after rain. Wear sturdy shoes with good grip, watch out for poison ivy, and consider long pants for extra protection. As you hike, you're going to pass by a memorial for someone who tragically lost their life here. Let that be a reminder to stay cautious. The edge of the pit is extremely dangerous. Loose rocks and slippery footing all mean that you should never get too close. Always respect warning signs and barriers. Stevens Gap is protected by the Southeastern Cave Conservancy, or SCCI, which ensures that this natural treasure remains untouched for future generations to enjoy. A permit is required to visit, so make sure that you check access rules before you go. Whether you're here for the thrill of caving, the beauty of the light beams, or just a peaceful hike in nature, Stevens Gap Pit is a must-see destination. So grab your gear, stay safe, and get ready for an adventure that you'll never forget. Gathering for an adventure. On a cool, overcast afternoon in Jackson County, Alabama, a group of 7 experienced cavers all met up at the Stevens Gap Callahan Cave Preserve. The air was crisp, with temperatures hovering in the mid-50s. Perfect weather for a day underground. The team consisted of Karen Prowett, age 46, Ricky Rollins, his wife Terry Rollins, James Englett and his wife Ann, Jeff Hearn, and Bonnie Teasley. They were all seasoned cavers, except for Ann, who had come along to watch and take photos. Excitement buzzed in the air as they geared up in the parking lot. Harnesses were tightened, helmets adjusted, and ropes carefully coiled. Remember, Stevens Gap was no ordinary cave. It was very famous for its 143-foot deep pit, a vertical drop that required expert rappelling skills. Most of the group had conquered this cave before, but that didn't dull the thrill. Karen, in particular, was eager to descend again, her confidence high from previous trips. The trail to Stevens Gap was short but rugged, just 0.7 miles through dense woodland. Fallen leaves crunched underfoot as the group made their way up the sloping path. The recent rains had left the ground muddy in spots, forcing them to step carefully. The deeper they went, the quieter the forest became, as if nature itself was holding its breath. As they neared the cave entrance, they passed a small memorial, a sobering reminder of the dangers that lurked ahead. A plaque honored a past explorer who had lost their life here. The group paused for a moment, the weight of the warning sinking in. But they were prepared. They had the right gear, the right skills, and years of experience. What could go wrong? Preparing for the descent. The team stood at the edge of Stevens Gap, staring into the enormous opening that dropped straight into darkness. Sunlight barely reached the bottom, making the pit look even more intimidating. Before they could begin their exploration, they needed to set up their ropes carefully. One wrong move could be deadly. James Englert and Ricky Rollins took charge of this critical task. They rigged 3 separate ropes, each with a specific purpose. The first was a 200-foot rope, which would serve as the main rappel line down the side of the pit where a waterfall cascaded down into the depths. The second was a shorter 77-foot safety rope, dangling about 35 to 40 feet into the pit as a backup just in case something went wrong. The third was the most important, a 245-foot rope that was rigged on the opposite side of the pit, which they would use to climb back out later. As James worked, he noticed a problem. The 245-foot rope didn't seem long enough to reach the bottom safely. He called up to Ricky, his voice tense. "We need more slack!" But the others were busy checking their harnesses and gear, distracted by their own preparations. No one realized just how serious this warning was, or how close they now were to disaster. In caving, having the right rope length is crucial. If a rope is too short, then the climbers can end up stranded partway down a pit, unable to reach the bottom or climb back up. This is especially dangerous in deep vertical caves like Stevens Gap, where rescue is difficult. The team thought that they had measured it correctly, but caves are unpredictable. Water, rock edges, and rope stretch can all affect the actual distance. As they finished their checks and prepared to descend, no one double-checked the ropes again. This mistake would soon become terrifyingly clear. As the team made final preparations at the cave entrance, Karen Prowett moved towards the rigged ropes, excited to begin her descent into Stevens Gap. In the confusion of last-minute adjustments and shouted instructions, a critical error went unnoticed. Instead of clipping her rappel device onto the sturdy 200-foot main line that would safely lower her to the bottom, Karen had accidentally attached herself to the much shorter 77-foot safety rope. This backup line was not designed to support a full descent. It only extended about 35 feet into the pit before ending abruptly in midair. This mistake happened quietly, lost in the activity of the moment. No team member thought to verify Karen's connection. No experienced caver had performed the crucial partner check that could have caught this error. In caving, where mistakes can be deadly, this basic safety step was overlooked in the excitement of beginning the adventure. Right at 1:15 in the afternoon, Karen did the one normal thing that people do when they're caving one last time. She shouted, "Rock!" to tell the other people below that small stones were falling from the edge. Then, she trusted that her equipment was set up correctly. She leaned backwards into the void and started to go down. Now, the first few steps went well as she used the rope to go down the straight rock wall. But very soon she would find out the terrible truth about her mistake. The rope that was supposed to carry her down safely would soon leave her hanging there, unable to move in the dark. There would be no way for her to climb back up, and below her there was nothing but empty air and sharp rocks. The team's fun trip was about to turn into a very serious mission to save her, all because of one small mistake that no one had noticed in time. Horrifying fall. At first, everything was normal and quiet. The rope slid smoothly through her descender as she lowered herself down the cave's vertical wall. And for those first few seconds, everything felt right. The cool cave air rushed past her face, and the sound of the waterfall echoed softly in the darkness down below. She had no reason to suspect that anything was wrong as she continued downward, trusting her equipment completely. Then, the rope suddenly went loose in her hands. There was no more rope anymore to go down. She had reached the end of the much shorter safety line. Karen, at that exact moment, realized her fatal mistake. There was no knot tied at the rope's end in order to catch her descender. No safety measure to prevent exactly this nightmare scenario. Her stomach lurched as she went from controlled descent to free fall in the blink of an eye. Now down below, James had just finished his rappel and he was standing on the floor of the cave. Then he saw something moving up above that caught his attention. He looked up and saw Karen's body falling through the air. Her arms and legs were moving wildly because she couldn't control them as gravity pulled her down. The terrible sound of her impact on the ground, a sickening noise of soft body parts and hard rock crashing together, echoed loudly through the cave. One small thing that had been forgotten, one safety check that hadn't been done, had now changed a fun adventure into a situation where someone could die in just a few seconds. Now, when Karen's body hit the ground in the cave, Jeff Hearn, who was the paramedic on the team, he didn't wait at all. He quickly moved through small, narrow passages, scraping his knees and arms as he tried very hard to get to her. The caver, who was usually very careful, didn't care about being cautious anymore because he knew now that every second was important. But when he finally got down next to Karen and he put his fingers on her neck and checked, he couldn't feel a heartbeat. Her chest wasn't moving up and down. The massive trauma from the fall had been instantly fatal. The rest of the team stood motionless, their minds struggling to process what had just happened. Ricky Rollins, shaking off his shock, turned and ran back up the twisting entrance passage as fast as his trembling legs could carry him. He knew that they needed help immediately, but the remote location was now working against them. His cell phone showed no service bars as he stumbled along the rocky trail. Somewhere in the back of his mind, though, Ricky knew that even if rescuers came now, they would only be recovering a body, not saving a life. The cave had claimed another victim, all because of a simple mistake that no one caught in time. Recovery mission. When help finally did arrive, the emergency teams moved quickly, despite knowing that they were too late. The rocky, uneven terrain of Stevens Gap made their job difficult as they navigated the same passages that had recently been echoing with laughter. Working carefully in low light inside the cave, the rescuers secured Karen's body to a sturdy stretcher, wrapping her in protective coverings before beginning the long, sad journey out of the cave. The rescuers knew that going back up from the vertical drop where Karen fell would be too dangerous, so instead, they took the longer but safer path through the cave's lower entrance. Carefully, they carried Karen's body on a stretcher, moving slowly through the twisting passages. As they finally stepped outside, the forest was strangely silent. No birds sang. The sun was setting, casting long shadows. The other cavers followed behind, their heads down. Just hours earlier, they had been laughing and excited, but now they walked slowly, each step heavy with sadness. Their happy adventure had turned into a terrible tragedy. The cave that had given them so much fun had suddenly become deadly. It was a harsh reminder that nature doesn't forgive mistakes. As the ambulance drove away, they knew that they would not be coming back here anytime soon. That awful sound of Karen's fall would stay with them forever. A constant reminder to always check their gear twice, because one small mistake underground can change everything. Lessons learned too late. The investigation into Karen's accident showed that her death didn't need to happen. There were several safety rules that weren't followed that day, and each one played a part in the terrible outcome. First, and most importantly, the short rope should have had a knot tied at the end. This is one of the most basic safety rules in caving. If that simple step had been taken, Karen would have stopped falling when she had reached the end of the rope, instead of plunging all the way to the bottom. Karen did make a mistake by clipping onto the wrong rope, but everyone makes mistakes sometimes. That's why cavers always double-check each other's equipment. If just one person had been watching as Karen got ready to rappel, they might have noticed her error. The team, though, was distracted with other tasks, and that single moment of inattention cost a life. The accident also shows just how important communication is. In caves, you have to talk clearly about what you're doing and what you see. If someone had called out, "Which rope are you using?" or "Let me check your setup," then things might have turned out differently. And this wasn't the cave's fault. Stevens Gap is no more dangerous than any other pit cave when proper safety steps are followed. The real danger came from skipping basic precautions that exist for very good reasons. Karen's story is now shared in caving classes as a warning. It reminds us that safety rules aren't just suggestions. They are lessons learned from past accidents written in blood. Something as simple as tying a knot, taking an extra minute to check gear, or speaking up when something doesn't look or feel right can mean the difference between an exciting adventure and a terrible tragedy. Her accident changed how many cavers practice safety today. Now, more people tie knots without even thinking about it. More teams make sure that someone is always watching during rigging. More leaders are now stressing the importance of clear communication. These small changes all help make sure that Karen's death wasn't completely in vain. The underground world will always have risks, but we can control how we prepare for them. Karen's memory lives on as a powerful reminder to every caver. Safety isn't just about protecting yourself, it's about looking out for each other every step of the way. Always tie knots in your ropes, always double-check your gear, and always watch out for each other. Safety isn't just a rule, it's how we protect our caving family. Now, if this video, even if it just made you think, then make sure to hit like, subscribe, and share it with fellow adventurers. Stay safe, everybody, and we will see you in the next adventure. And remember this, the best cavers come home.